Welcome, everyone. We're doing a deep dive today into something kind of puzzling about us humans.
Yeah, specifically why some people feel okay, even entitled to destroy things they had no hand in creating.
Exactly. We see it happen big and small scales, and we really want to understand the why behind it today.
And we've got a unique angle for you. We're looking at how an AI analyzes this whole phenomenon.
Right. It's processed tons of data on, human psychology, cognitive biases, social stuff, history.
It works. So it offers this synthesized perspective.
Our mission here isn't to get bogged down in jargon, but to really get to the heart of what drives this destructive impulse and, well, what the effects are.
Okay, so where do we start? The AI points to a central concept, right?
Yeah, it calls it ideological absolutism, which sounds fancy, but it's paired with this feeling of entitlement.
Okay, so ideological absolutism. That's basically believing your way, your view, is the only right way, like absolutely no question.
Precisely. It's not just a strong belief, it's the conviction that everything else is fundamentally wrong.
And that conviction then fuels the entitlement bit, the feeling that you have the right, maybe even a duty, to just get rid of whatever doesn't fit.
Exactly. That leap seems crucial. The belief isn't just, I'm right, it's, I have the right to eliminate the wrong.
Wow. Okay. So how does this actually, manifest? How does it affect people?
Well, the AI breaks it down. On a personal level, for the individual holding these really rigid beliefs, think stress, anxiety, especially when challenged.
I can imagine. Your whole worldview feels threatened.
Totally. And it can lead to aggression, lashing out when people disagree. Plus, it strains relationships, right? If there's no room for different ideas.
Yeah, you end up in these echo chambers, don't you? Just hearing your own views bounce back.
And we probably all see milder versions of this, maybe even in ourselves sometimes, if we're honest.
That's a good point. It's like an extreme version of common tendencies. But then it scales up, right? Socially.
Oh, absolutely. And the AI's analysis there is pretty stark. We're talking conflict, arguments turning into, well, much worse.
Like actual societal clashes, marginalization, oppression.
Yeah, even wars. Groups being labeled other or wrong and then targeted. And any kind of social trust just, poof, disappears in that environment.
It really corrodes the social fabric. And what about the environment? Does this mindset impact that too?
Definitely. The AI brings that up. This my way or the highway thinking can lead to destroying natural resources for, say, a single economic goal.
Like ignoring the intrinsic value of an ecosystem or future needs just for short-term gain or because it fits one specific ideology.
Exactly that. Think clear-cutting a diverse forest for just one type of crop, or polluting rivers because maximizing profit is the only goal that matters.
So this single-mindedness, it really does have wide-reaching destructive consequences.
It really does. And, looking back, this isn't exactly a new problem. The AI points to history.
Right. History is unfortunately full of examples. Things like religious wars come to mind immediately.
Yeah, the AI highlights that. Destroying another faith's temples or symbols because you believe yours is the only path to truth.
Such a potent example. And then there are political ideologies.
Oh, for sure. Think about the 20th century. Totalitarian regimes like Nazism or Stalinism, where the state ideology was absolute.
And anything else dissent, different viewpoints, had to be crushed, literally destroyed sometimes.
And it's not always so dramatic, is it? The AI also mentions cultural dominance.
You mean like a dominant culture trying to erase minority languages or traditions because it thinks it's superior?
Exactly. And colonialism, too, wiping out indigenous ways of life, knowledge systems, environments, all to impose the colonizer system.
It's a grim pattern, this belief in one truth leading to destruction. So what does the AI suggest might be underneath all this? Why does this thinking take hold?
Well, it's complex, obviously. No single gene for this, right?
Yeah.
But the AI looks at potential contributing factors, biological, philosophical.
Okay, well, like what on the biological side? Does our wiring play into it?
Potentially. The AI mentions things like in-group bias, favoring us over them. That can be exploited.
Right, makes it easier to dehumanize the out-group. What else?
Cognitive shortcuts, like confirmation bias. We look for stuff that proves us right.
And ignore what doesn't fit, yeah.
And the availability heuristic. We rely too much on information that's easy to recall, often stuff that's like emotionally charged.
So these biases can kind of feed into and reinforce that absolutist thinking. Makes sense. Any brain stuff involved?
The AI hints at it. Maybe connections to reward and threat systems, like sticking to your strong beliefs feels good, feels safe, and questioning them feels dangerous.
Interesting. So your brain might be sort of protecting the belief itself. Now, philosophically, this whole mindset must clash with a lot of thinking, right?
Oh, absolutely. Take epistemology, the study of knowledge. The whole idea of one single capital T truth is heavily debated.
Yeah, most philosophy acknowledges things are complex, interpretations matter. Absolutism just ignores all that nuance.
It's like shouting, "My way is the only way," in a library full of different perspectives. And ethically.
Ethically, it's a mess. Destroying things others value. It violates basic respect, tolerance, avoiding harm, you name it.
Justice, fairness. Seems like it tramples on all of that.
Definitely. And in political philosophy, it's the opposite of democracy or pluralism, which depend on accepting differences and finding ways to live together.
No room for compromise there. Now, this was interesting. The AI even brought in physics and math as analogies.
Yeah, that is cool. Like Einstein's relativity. Your observation depends on your viewpoint. There isn't one single correct perspective on the universe.
So maybe there isn't one single correct perspective on beliefs or values either.
That's the idea. Or complexity theory from math, trying to force one simple order onto a really complex system like a society, often backfires badly.
Unintended consequences everywhere.
Right. And logic.
Yeah.
The AI points out the faulty reasoning often used, like false dilemmas. It's either my way or total chaos, or attacking the person, not the argument.
So the justifications themselves are often built on shaky ground.
Okay, so what about the mindset? What characterizes someone deep in this kind of belief system?
Closed-mindedness is key. A real resistance to anything that challenges the belief. Dogmatism, holding on to beliefs no matter the evidence.
And it sounds like there's a strong emotional component, too.
Very strong. The AI mentions a deep emotional investment. Questioning the belief feels like a personal attack.
And that us versus them thing we mentioned.
Crucial. It often leads to dehumanizing the other, seeing them as less than human, which makes it easier to justify causing harm.
A dangerous path. Okay, so let's talk impact. What does holding these beliefs do to the person themselves?
Well, they might feel righteous, sure, but the AI suggests it comes with a loss of empathy, difficulty connecting, and this constant need to be defensive, this fear of being proven wrong.
Sounds kind of brittle and exhausting and for everyone else around them.
It's often devastating. Fear, oppression, loss, trauma. And the AI notes this can create these awful cycles of violence and resentment that last for ages. A really heavy toll. How does the world, generally react when this happens?
It's varied. You see condemnation, obviously. International bodies, other groups speaking out.
But that doesn't always stop it.
No. Sometimes you see compliance, maybe out of fear. Sometimes active resistance, counter movements pushing back.
This is not worryingly.
Yeah. The AI points out that sometimes destructive behaviors based on these beliefs can become normalized in certain places.
Yeah.
Just accepted as the way things are.
That's chilling. Okay, so given all this, are there ways to, push back, to mitigate this?
The AI suggests a few things. Education is a big one, focusing on critical thinking, exposing people to diverse perspectives.
Makes sense. Building understanding.
And fostering empathy.
Yeah.
Trying to see the world from someone else's shoes. That could break down the US versus them wall.
What else? Creating spaces for actual dialogue.
Yes. Where people can disagree respectfully, listen without just waiting to attack. Promoting pluralism in society, legally and culturally.
So valuing difference instead of fearing it.
Exactly. And crucially, accountability. Holding people responsible when intolerance leads to destructive acts.
And maybe on a personal level?
Self-reflection. Intellectual humility. Just acknowledging that maybe, just maybe, we don't have all the answers ourselves. That can be a powerful antidote.
Those all feel like constructive directions. Now, the AI also pinpointed the core logical flaw in justifying destruction this way. Can you walk us through that?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, actually. The flawed logic goes something like this. Premise 1. My belief system, let's call it X, is the absolute undeniable truth.
Okay, starting with a huge assumption there.
A massive one. Premise 2. Anything that contradicts X must therefore be false and probably harmful.
Following from the first assumption.
Right. Conclusion. Therefore, I have the right, maybe even the obligation, to destroy anything that contradicts X. It doesn't matter who made it, what it means to others.
And the whole thing rests on that shaky first premise, the claim to absolute truth.
Exactly. That's the fundamental flaw. It's this arrogance of assuming you possess the one and only truth, ignoring complexity, interpretation, subjectivity. Everything. The destructive conclusion only follows if you accept that flawed, unproven starting point.
Got it. So wrapping this up for everyone listening, this deep dive, using the AI's lens, suggests that impulse to destroy what isn't ours often comes from that toxic mix, absolute certainty in your own views, and the entitlement to enforce them.
And we've seen how that ripples out, affecting individuals, societies, the environment, echoing through history. It challenges fundamental ideas about knowledge and ethics.
It really does give you a lot to chew on. So maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener. Think about the smaller ways this absolutism might creep into daily life.
Yeah, even if it's not outright destruction. How quick are we sometimes to dismiss views we don't like, to shut down conversations?
Finding that balance between holding our convictions and staying genuinely open to others, that feels incredibly important, doesn't it? Something to keep reflecting on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
This is DigitView.